Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jax and today I'm doing something special to celebrate reaching 50,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So I hit 50k a few weeks ago and this is a super awesome milestone for me. My aim when I started this channel was to get to 100,000 before I finished my PhD, which seemed like quite an over-ambitious task at the time, but now I'm actually halfway there. So first of all, thank you so much to all those who have subscribed, both old and new. I am super grateful that my art and my speed paints have an audience and it really means a lot. So in all sincerity, thank you. For this week's video, I'm going to be doing something that I've wanted to for quite a while now. Many of you have requested I show some of my old art to see where I started, how my art looked at the very beginning when I was just picking up digital art and drawing for myself. So I have a lot of old art. I've been drawing since 2007 when I started high school, and I also drew a lot back then because I was a very bored and antisocial teenager. Another thing I've been wanting to do is some redraws of old artworks from those early years to try and reinterpret those pieces and incorporate all the things I've learned over these past 10 years of drawing. So my idea is to make this into a little reveal and redraw series here on my channel. Each video will go through all my art from one year, starting from 2007, where I'll go through my main drawing subjects, techniques, programs, and every other part of my drawing process that I can remember during that time of my life. Then once I finish showing the old drawings, I'll select one of them to do a redraw of. I hope this will be a fun video series for everyone to watch. Come and have a chuckle at my old art and then hopefully be inspired by the eventual improvement. So let's dive right down into memory lane. I began drawing digitally about halfway through 2007 when I first started high school, or Year 7 as we call it in Australia. The oldest drawing you'll see here is dated at June 2007, and all the pieces today were made between June and December of that year. My first tablet was a Wacom Bamboo Fun, which came with a version of Photoshop called Photoshop Elements, which aside from MS Paint was probably my very first digital art program. I think it was during this time I also got my first reliable access to the internet, and the internet, being the wonderful conduit of creativity and weirdness that it is, gave me the first taste of character creation, design, and world building through the very humble site called Neopets. Pretty much all the drawings I made in my first year of digital art were of my Neopet OCs. This first gal you're seeing here was my main female character. Her design started off with purples and greens in addition to her base blue color, but after a few weeks I turned her down to have a more grey and white color palette. I have a thing for white-haired characters, and clearly that obsession started pretty early. Unfortunately, she didn't have much of a personality or backstory back then, but I did quite enjoy drawing her just looking pretty and pure. Now this next character was a previous one's brother, and he was like my token edgy dark emo child. I remember back then there was this period where that punkish, somewhat gothic but more neon and colourful look was super trendy in character design. I'm sure there's a name for what our style was called, but I can't remember what it is at the moment. But regardless, this character was supposed to be super dark and serious and oh so mysterious. He had an affinity with fire and lava and could control it to some degree. I also tended to give a lot of my characters wings, which in hindsight was a pretty good decision as it meant I had to learn how to draw them pretty early on. Obviously, I wasn't doing a particularly good job at the time, but I was trying. This character had a bit more of a story, probably something involving the death of his parents, but he was kind of a loner and just kind of wandered around being edgy and badass. And for some reason, he was afraid of clowns. I think I had recently learned what the word for a phobia of clowns was, and just wanted to include that somehow, even though it really didn't make any sense and didn't contribute much to his personality other than adding a really out of left field character flaw. So it's really interesting to note how in the first year, the style and quality of my art differs quite drastically between drawing to drawing. When you first start art, there's definitely a huge learning curve. And now, I wasn't a very smart kid, but it is encouraging to see that over the course of those first 6 months, I managed to figure out the basic things like how to activate pen pressure on my tablet, how to start shading, sort of, and doing the very basics of backgrounds, even if they involved a very heavy use of Photoshop's default thin grass brush. I also looked for inspiration in the things around me. This character I created was based on lyrebirds, which are these cool birds in Australia that can mimic the sounds of almost anything. I thought they were just the coolest things, and probably where my tiny obsession with birds started from. I also seem to quite enjoy having the names of each of the characters in big, bold, cursive script right next to them, just in case I forgot what their names were. Unfortunately, writing was never really my strongest skill, and whilst I did enjoy thinking of the worlds and the characters I was making, I never really enjoyed having to write them down. I was also a kind of sheltered kid, so any world building I attempted to do was never particularly comprehensive or inspired by reality. I think my style back then, or at least the style I was going for, was some kind of a mix between the super dark and edgy and sad, but also with an appreciation of ethereal natural environments and a touch of magic. The sparklier, the better. Even back then, I was very much into including things like flowers and plants and grand skies and landscapes in my artworks, even though I wasn't quite sure how to do them. Over time, I feel like my interest in the dark and edgy eventually waned, and my drawing developed more down the path of the pretty stuff and became closer to what it is today. And speaking of which, the piece I've chosen to redraw today is this one featuring my lyrebird character. You would have seen me adjusting the sketch at the beginning of the video, but now we're going to dive right into full speed paint and hopefully improve upon this humble little piece I made back in 2007. But before we jump in, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank this week's sponsor, Skillshare. One motto that I live by is that if you ever find yourself with free time, the best thing you can do is try and learn something new. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of high-quality, curated classes on all sorts of things. It's a surprisingly great resource for artists as it has classes that help you not only in the drawing aspects of an art career, but also things like marketing, valuing and selling your art, designing your brand, running a business, and comprehensive program guides. All the stuff you'd have to do on top of drawing in order to have a functional art career. I recently got an iPad and downloaded Procreate as my main drawing app, but was struggling to use it quite a bit. So I signed up to an excellent class by Jaron Vogel that clearly explained the ins and outs of Procreate. Classes like these take you through the program bit by bit while demoing how to come out with a fully completed illustration. Another class that I took a while ago was Jonas Giroux's class on painting landscapes, which has some super awesome tips and guides that still influence how I plan out the environments in my drawings to this day. I'm super happy that Skillshare is sponsoring this video, which is all about improvement in art through many years of learning and practice. The first 500 people to sign up today through the link down in the description below will get 2 months free trial that will give you access to all the classes available on the site, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. The classes there have really helped me, and I really hope they'll help you too. And with all that said, let's get down to the redraw. So I chose to redraw this piece since it included a background and a character with colours that were more manageable than some of my other characters. I really wanted to stretch out the background in the original piece since it had elements in it that I really liked, but back then I wasn't too comfortable with drawing trees and mountains, so most of the back landscape is just empty sky. Since the anatomy of the original character wasn't really based off of any real-life animal, its anatomy was a bit odd. So for this drawing, I decided to give the character more fox-like features and body type, and since this would also fit well with the character's rusty orange color palette. I wanted the background to be made up of mostly vibrant blues and aquas to give a nice color contrast with the character as well. The trees here were very much inspired by the paintings of Bob Ross. I recently found the official YouTube channel with all the Joy of Painting episodes and have been putting them in the background sometimes when I draw. One of the amazing signature things that he does is how he plops big and lush trees right in the middle of his landscapes. Particularly these kinds of coniferous ones where he does this cool thing with a fan brush to create all the branches and leaves. Anyway, my voice is getting a little hoarse from all the talking, so I'll leave you guys to enjoy the rest of the speed paint and I'll be back at the end of the video to wrap up. have the finished redraw. Definitely quite a bit more detailed than the original and slightly more realistic anatomy. It's funny because even as I just finished this, I can still see areas that I really need to improve on, so maybe in another 10 years we'll do another redraw and that one will look even better. Let me know what you think of this video and if you want to see any more of my old stuff. I have at least 9 more years of old art stored in the depths of my computer, which I'm more than happy to show to the world as long as people actually want to see it. In the meantime, make sure you check out that Skillshare link in the description below if you were interested in signing up. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, especially if you want to see more videos like this one. If there were any other pieces that I was showing you in this video that you want to see me redraw, please let me know that as well. In the meantime, have a great day and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!